Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to be talking about mindset and why it's so critical to your success in any business. Now, my guest today, Melissa Alexander, I've hunted her down for almost a year to try and get her on the show because Melissa has been a commercial real estate agent. She started off in Memphis, and 4 years ago, she moved to Nashville and had to start all over. And that's hard to do in any business, but commercial real estate as a woman, and she's in industrial real estate. So she had a lot of roadblocks ahead of her, and now she's knocking it out of the park, and she's going to tell us what she did, the path that she took to find her path to success. So make sure you check out the video. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Joe Killinger. I've been a real estate entrepreneur for over 20 plus years, and I use this channel to really bring on guests like Melissa to tell all the tips and tricks to find a path to success in the business. And so make sure you check out the video. And if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe. Well, Melissa, thank you for coming on today. I understand you got a lot going on in Nashville today.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Apologies, I'm in my office today instead of downtown where there is a Indy car race taking over the streets of Nashville. So thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here today and talk about women in real estate.
I met you a year ago at the CREI Summit, and I just have been following you and catching up on everything you do. And you had this article that was published in Globe Street, and it just really caught my eye. One, because we're love to promote women in commercial real estate. I think that's so key. But the way you transitioned from going from Memphis and then restarting your entire business in Nashville, that it couldn't have been easy to do. I mean, you make it sound easy, but I'm sure that it wasn't. And I just think, it has to come. I know you talked about mindset. And so today I want to kind of tap into that mindset. Where were you? How did you tackle that? What mindset were you in that made this transition?
I don't know. I think I was half crazy, Joe, at the time.
Yeah, sometimes that's the best.
Yeah, I mean, and looking back, so I've been back to Nashville now 5 years.
Okay.
And I've been, I guess I launched my brokerage business back here in Nashville 4.5 years ago. But looking back, I mean, you're right. I had the experience.
Sure.
Yeah, I knew what I was doing because I'd been in the business so long, like over 12 years at that point, but I didn't have a single contact, client. I had all this experience and I didn't have the book of business to bring over with me. And so, as you know, this business is really relational, right? And so I made the rounds with all the shops, right? All the shops. I was like, meeting with any flag you can name. I'm not going to say them. I was meeting with them, right. Just saying, hey, I'm coming back to Nashville. I'm ready to work. I do industrial. Would you hire me and put me on your team? I'm getting to mindset. I'm just kind of leading into this.
That's fine.
I got a lot of doors shut in my face. Yeah. And so honestly, coming into it, I wasn't delusional. I knew it'd be hard and difficult. And the fact that like a lot of people were basically looking at me like a square peg, round hole kind of thing. Like she's got all this experience, but
no clients.
Doesn't have a book of business or anything. She's starting fresh. They didn't know where to put me on the team. And so again, with people saying, well, we just don't have a fit for you. Well, I hate to be told no. And I think that's what makes me good at my job, right? That's what makes us good brokers is we don't like to hear the word no. Yeah. And so that honestly, Joe, motivated me to work even harder. Because part of my mindset was I'm going to prove these people wrong. Maybe I don't know if that's the right mindset. Looking back, I shouldn't give a crap about anybody and what they think about me. But it lit this fire in me that said, "Oh, you know what? That's even more motivation for me to come in, find a seat somewhere, find a shop, a place on a team, and kick butt in Nashville."
So you just cold called company and said, hey, I want to interview?
I did. And some of them were like, we have a property management position for you.
Oh yeah.
And one was like, hey, maybe you can help me with this like business development, which it wasn't brokerage. It was more like a salary position, like basically market relations, like creating an image for us in the market. And I was like, no, I just don't want to do that. I want to
Yeah.
do brokerage. I feel passionate about it. I know my stuff. I know industrial, and just give me a chance. And so I eventually met with the Foundry team.
Yeah.
I know you're in Cali. We have an office in California, but most of our offices are across along the southeast.
Mhm.
And our Nashville office is only, I think it maybe 7 years old now. But it was fairly new at the time when I met with them, and they didn't have an industrial team.
Oh.
And yeah, they had a guy that they had just hired on, and then they were talking to me. And so they said, "You know what? We see I think they saw something. They just had a different kind of perception on number 1, who can be a broker. It doesn't have to be a white male, right?
Yep.
Especially when you're an industrial. And number 2, I guess, I met with a ton of folks around the Foundry platform. And they really did have this kind of different take on brokerage. Our motto is it's personal, and I love the fact that they were willing. They basically said we're willing to take a chance on you if you're willing to take a chance on us, because you're not coming into a team
Hmm.
that's established. We're hiring you to build a team. So we're not giving you anything. We're basically giving you a laptop and a notebook and a phone.
In
You
freedom
get to do the
to
rest.
go build
Yes,
it.
and freedom.
In
And
freedom to
so
go build it.
so that really, back to mindset, after having all these other people say, no, you're not, not a good fit, not a good fit. And then they're like, you know what? You take a chance on us, we'll take a chance on you. Having somebody believe in me and say, we think you can do it, was the other kind of piece of it. Oh, now I
Yeah.
have somebody who's taken a chance on me. I don't want to let them down. Like, I had all these
Mhm.
other people shut the door in my face. I've tried so hard. I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to let my husband down, my family down, and I don't want to let this group that now has given me a chance down. And so that was kind of the extra motivation I needed to just hit the pavement and start building my book of business.
You know, yeah, in California, actually, I just know Southern California as far as industrial, there's not a lot of women in the business on the industrial side. Is that true in your area as well?
Yes, it is.
So yeah, that's amazing that they, you know, here's just go
Yes.
build it. That's amazing. That's
Yeah, hiring a
founders
woman
should
with
be
no
proud of what
book of
they're doing.
business. Yeah,
Yeah,
no
that
book of
yeah, that's
business and a
amazing.
woman.
That's I love to hear that with a company. Yeah, because I've seen what you're doing out there. It's pretty impressive. So I can see what they saw. Um, Now, are you from Nashville originally? You grew up there?
I am. I'm born and
Okay,
raised. Born
okay.
and raised here.
So when you came back, you were still little Melissa Alexander, right? Everybody still looked at you, that girl in high school or college, I suppose. So you had to overcome that
Well,
too.
yeah, I guess I had to overcome that a little bit, but honestly, Nashville, we had this conversation before you hit record.
Yeah,
Most of the folks in Nashville are not from Nashville.
right.
So you don't really have to use your old network of like people, it's really just a whole new set of people, decision makers, companies, a lot of them coming into town trying to find someone to help them with their
Sure.
assignment. And so really kind of what helped, and you said we talked about this a little bit, or you alluded to it, was my social media presence.
Yep.
One thing I did, Joe, transitioning from Memphis to Nashville, was during that time period before I knew where I was going to land in Nashville, I said, I'm going to make it my job 100% to go out there and build my brand, because I know the minute I land somewhere, people, when I cold call, when I go door knock, people are going to start, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're going to Google me.
Yeah.
And so I made it my job to build my brand, and really also stay on top of like, what are the trends in Nashville? What are the trends in US nationally and in industrial? And so I made that my full-time gig. social media, stay on top of news, so I can hit the ground running right when I get into town. And it really benefited me. And I think a lot of folks, you and I both know this, there's a lot of skeptics out there in in real
Commercial.
estate,
Yeah.
in commercial real estate, that say you don't need social media. That's just a waste of time, or that's just a shiny object that's going to go away. That's not going to help you build your business. And
Right.
they can keep on thinking that, Joe. That's fine, because it's given me a leg up over my competition and
Well,
really
you're
allowed me
going to
to stand
bypass.
out.
You're going to
Yeah.
bypass. Actually, you probably
Yeah.
already bypassed them with that mindset.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to like toot my own horn, but
I'll do
the
it for
fact
you.
that
Don't worry. I'm happy to.
okay,
I've
toot
seen
it,
what
toot
you're
it.
doing. I've seen the numbers you're doing. I'll blow the hell out of your. I mean, you're knocking it out of the park, and you've been in a market for 4.5 years. I mean, you know, it's
Yeah, I mean
incredible.
well, part of it is like it's all been grassroots, right? You know this. I mean, you
Yeah.
have look at your setup, by the way. I'm jealous. I'm going to take it to the next level next time we're on one of these.
I don't have
But
IndyCar running through downtown, between my house and my office. I think you're okay.
yeah, well, okay, so next time it'll be better. But I don't even know where I was going with that. I was basically what being on social media has given me is almost like a platform. Now I've got media outlets calling me for my opinion on things that are going on, not only here in town but nationally. And then that led to now you've been invited to speak at this conference. You've been
Mhm.
invited to speak here. I spoke at a Bizno event on the state of the Nashville market 2 days ago.
Did
And
you?
so all of a sudden, I have elevated myself to this expert level. I was already there, but now I put myself out there where people can
Mhm.
see, hey, here's Melissa Alexander. I want her representing me because she's the expert on industrial on this panel in Nashville. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
That all came from social media. It
Yeah.
started with social media.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, let's kind of break it down. So when you transition, you started on your social media, and then when you got into Nashville, you just started cold calling, or how did you actually get started when you got there? Actually, probably a lot of worm calling. Hey, family, I'm back. A little bit cold end worm
Yeah.
calling, plus your social media. What else were you doing?
Yeah. So my secret sauce, I shouldn't share this, but I
No,
will.
go ahead. It's really good
Um,
for views.
uh, well, my secret sauce was number one, I'm a woman, right? Okay, so
Right.
I'm a woman and I'm an industrial. This was pre COVID, but my thing was I call it open dock door season. So I would go
Okay.
around, and my cold calling was actually dock door knocking. And what that means is in open dock door season in Nashville, you have the fall and the spring. You open your dock doors because the weather's so nice. You get that nice airflow coming into
Gotcha.
the warehouse. And in those 2 seasons, you can see kind of get a visual of how they're utilizing their warehouse space. Are they overracked, overstocked? Like, do they need more space? Oh, are they under, like, do they need less space?
Right.
How are the trucks lined up in the truck court? Are there too many trucks? Or they just look like they're spilling out of their space? And then I would just park in the truck court and walk through the dock door. And so you have this woman, probably you don't typically see a woman in a warehouse.
Right.
Typically you don't. You have this businesswoman walking up into your warehouse who's walks up to you and says, hey, I'm so and so. Looks like you're pretty full here. They say, well, hey, I'm not the decision maker, but here's so and so. Let me take you to his office and intro you. That's how I got started. I walked up in the docks, and the rest is history.
That that would be because you walked in with a group of men. That had to be a little intimidating in the beginning. I'm sure now you just walk heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. I'm here, but I bet in the beginning it had to be a little intimidating.
Well, I'll tell you the most intimidating thing, Joe, and you're gonna laugh, were the dogs. There are
Oh,
dogs in warehouses, and
yeah,
I remember one time, like one came charging at me, and I saw my life flash in front of me.
yeah,
The men are less intimidating. I really didn't feel, again, going back to mindset, I
yeah.
had that determination where I'm not gonna lose. I'm gonna get this client. I don't want to take no, and I'm not gonna let those folks down who took a chance on me. And so I walked, you kind of had to prep yourself because, ooh, the first couple hours or the first hour, like getting back in the routine of walking up in the dock, it's a little bit like, oh, like I gotta like prep my mind for it. You know
Yeah,
this.
I can
That's
imagine.
with cold calling too. Any kind of like cold anything is like got to prep your mind. But then in the back of my mind, I had that one person tell me I couldn't do it. I had the other person telling me I believe in you, and then I had me telling me you've already been gotten this far. You can't stop now. Go get them. And
Yeah.
so, I had all these little things going through my head. And, being a woman again, walking up in the docks, they were like, "Hey, what do you do? Nice to see
Mhm.
you." I wasn't like a typical guy where they would be like, "Get out of here, go
Yeah.
away." They're
Right.
very cordial to me. And I'm also in the South, Joe. Like I'm in
Yeah.
Nashville.
Yeah. That's
Everybody's
good.
really kind around here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that would be intimidating, I think, for most, but that's why you're where you're at. Now, so you did I'm gonna steal that, dock knocking. I've never heard of that before. So that was I'm learning something new every day. What else did you do that you found to bring you the most success? I can imagine that one was big, warm calling, cold calling, obviously your sphere of influence. Is there anything else that you were doing that you think would be good for our viewers to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's also leveraging. That's really the dock door knocking is one side aspect of the business. In
Sure.
industrial, we get to sell buildings too. We're not really limited on what we can do. I know
Right.
sometimes office brokers, you specialize in selling a building or specialize in leasing. In industrial, we kind of can do anything. And one of the things I pride myself on is being able to locate, because industrial has been so frothy the last 4 or 5 years. Everybody's kind of been wanting to buy in Nashville,
Sure.
but it's hard to break into, and the pricing is crazy, just like it is in California. But if you can find that off-market deal, then you can really make a name for yourself. So that's the other thing that I really focused on is where can I, using my cold calling skills, where can I find that off-market piece of land that someone can develop, or that off-market building that I can bring to a buyer. And so leveraging some of my existing relationships from my time in Memphis. There's a lot of overlap in the asset managers and the acquisitions folks. So I leveraged that, and I would just take them. I would find a building what someone was willing to sell, and I would take it to them and see if they wanted to buy. And then we'd put in an offer and see what happened from there. So over the course of working on those, I had, again, a lot of frustration. And at one point I said, "Oh, I don't know, maybe I'm focusing too much time on this." But then I ended up landing the largest industrial sale in Nashville last year. I won a NAIOP award for it. It was a $36 million warehouse that I bought with a buyer off market. And it sits on the V&A runway. So it sits
Oh,
on the runway. It's got Amazon in it. And now they're building a new building on the site. So I will tell you, Joe, when I got to Nashville, I'm kind of hopping all over the place. When I got to Nashville, I had a notebook. The very first note in my notebook, I remember when this building was built. I was in college in the 90s, and I wrote down Tudell Parkway. You can build another building on the site. And
mm,
I put that as the first note in my notebook, very first one in my
oh
notebook when
dear.
I started at Foundry. And then fast forward to 2.5 years later, and I've actually sold that building to a buyer out of New York. And now I'm leasing the building. Just had a leasing call this morning, leasing the new building that's coming out of the ground and delivers at the end of the year. So all that to say, I just had this. I guess part of what I was really good at is I had a fresh pair of eyes coming into the
Mhm.
market. I wasn't the same old broker that had been here since 1980 that just kind of overlooked some of these assets. I was able to come in with a fresh pair of eyes and say, I think that building can be bought. Let me see if I can line up a buyer and see if they'll sell it. And so I was really successful at that. And so I was working both angles, tenant rep
You're
and
just a
also
real
selling
real
off
estate
market.
entrepreneur. You have vision that I think as we get into this industry, we tend to lose a little bit
Yeah.
because it kind of the edge gets dulled, and we need to keep that edge sharp.
Yeah. Or you get busy. I wasn't
Yeah,
busy at the time, right? Because I
that's
didn't
true.
have a
Yeah,
book of business.
yeah. You're sitting there going, okay, What am I going to do today? You know what?
Yeah.
This is a nice property.
Yeah. So,
Now, you say social media. What did you get? What made it click in you that this was a great way to build my business? Did you just start
hmm.
and you got some responses, or did you just kind of gut feeling? Because I got a feeling you're an entrepreneur. Once you get that gut feeling, there's no holding you back. But how did you come up with that vision that this is going to be the future of commercial real estate?
That started really with Casey Flannery when I was still in Memphis. I had started to build a little bit of that presence there. She and I both recognized we were both pretty young women, and we didn't know how to play golf. Um, we were not at like the members of the country club. And she and I both talked a lot. We I joke because we went to the nail salon together a lot during lunch and got our nails done. So we'd sit next to each other and
Right.
um and talk. And so we both kind of figured out, hey, these guys here are overlooking the social media thing. We really do. We saw Ken Ashley. I'm trying to Barbie Reuter. Like we
Mhm.
saw some of the OGs, right? Coy Davidson. We saw what they were doing, and I'm like, we need to connect with these folks and do what they're doing. So really, they were our inspiration. And then, of course, Casey and I got this wild hair that we were going to start this online Twitter chat during one of those conversations. And that really, inadvertently like launched both of us into this like social media stratosphere where we created this national chat of, monthly chat with folks communicating about commercial real estate trends, what we're seeing in capital markets, what leasing trends, et cetera. And we were getting all these trends from all over the country, sharing best practices. And so that really was the pivoting point, Joe, where we were like, wow, this social media thing has some legs, and it's going to really help both of our businesses.
Yeah, I think so too. Where do you see the social media marketing going?
Well, I'm not the biggest, like as far as different platforms go, I'm still a traditional like LinkedIn, Twitter, and then I see us doing more of these video reels and streams on
Mhm.
Instagram. Social media is going to be, I say, if you're not on it, you're not, you don't
Yeah,
exist.
yeah,
You don't exist.
you're becoming
So
irrelevant pretty quickly.
really irrelevant. And I think things like what you're doing, Joe, with your podcast and putting out video, that feels to be kind of the next wave of social media. It's not just posting a still picture, it's really kind of engaging and interacting and creating video, adding like these reels you see on Instagram that Carrie Bob does where she puts music to things,
Yes.
and like weaves in video and pictures, and they're only like 30 seconds if
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So that those little bitty snippets really do feel like kind of the next wave of social media, whatever platform you're on. I think whatever you're on, you can make it work. I'm still a little bit on the fence about TikTok, but so were people, 5 years ago about Twitter. So maybe I'll kind of get on that at some point. But right now, I do think, and you know this too, like you can only
Yeah.
focus your time on so many platforms. You kind of got to pick one or two that you're really good at and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to spend all day doing it. It is a great way to bring in business, but you want to be doing, the cold calls, trying to bring the business in, the warm calls, email marketing. You got to do it all, especially as we're coming into an economy that's starting to slow down a little bit. You
Yeah,
know, a lot of people have cut back on their marketing. Now's the time to double down on your marketing, if you
you're
ask
right.
me. That's what we did. We're doubling down on our marketing. And I just think it's a great time to do it. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity out there. You just have to go find it now. It's going to be a little bit harder. Um, I want to talk, what Ken Ashley started with this commercial real estate
Mhm.
influencer summit. I think Ken probably didn't have the vision that he expected. I think he thought, this would be a good thing for people to know. And I think it's an industry change. And I think he's seeing that now, but I think he when coming up with this idea, and everybody else he came up with the idea along with him. And I know you've been involved since the beginning, but I think what you guys have started is something that, if people want to learn how to do this summit that's coming up in September, the 15th and 16th, I'll put the link down below.
Mm-hmm.
But you were there last year. What was your experience with it?
Oh, it was incredible. It was way better than I ever envisioned. And you and I connected there, right? I didn't know you before.
Yeah.
So that was one more new connection that I was able to make.
Mhm.
And then I was able to, I think there was like 120 people there. So I got all these new connections, and I think it helped me build, even more of a book of business this past year. This is my best year ever. And not only that, yet you're right. Like Ken just wanted to get everybody together and have a fun time, right?
Yeah.
But what
Talk
we
about what they're
learned,
doing.
but what we learned, like the program, I was actually in charge of programming last year. The programming this year is going to blow everybody away, and it's a good mix. But what we learned is, we got to get together and have fun, and I got to connect, and you got to connect, and everybody got to meet everybody. But we also learned a ton of stuff to better our business. I learned how to get on Instagram. I wasn't on Instagram, and I learned that. And now that I'm on there, I'm like, how was I not ever doing this before? We also had really good speakers that like didn't even focus on social media. It's more like how to better your business and how to. It was all the Bill Darius Wallace. He was an actor, right? Bill Darius came and showed us how to tell stories,
right?
And be good storytellers, and so that is key. Not only having that social presence, but how can you sell the story of your market? And so that left me with all these takeaways of how to be a better storyteller when I'm talking to future clients or telling the story of if I want to sell an off-market building. How best do I tell the story of that building and how that's going to create real value for that buyer? So there were just so many great takeaways. So I can't
missed
wait.
Terry Bob's, and I wished I'd have got that. But these breakout sessions that you guys have got booked are incredible. You've got some great people leading the way.
The breakout sessions too are meant to be very interactive, and so there'll be not only somebody at typical conference when you have a breakout, you're just sitting in a room listening to someone talk. Not at CREI. You're actually sitting in a room doing stuff, learning how to do things while the person up there is guiding you. And so that's key, right? I mean, you're interactively learning with the people who are the foremost thought leaders in our industry.
Yeah, I mean, you can get on YouTube and watch, hundreds of videos on how to do something on each different app, or you can go to a conference for a couple of days and learn the whole damn thing, and by somebody that's been successful doing it. Let's talk about CRE Chat, your podcast. What is that about? What can you tell us?
So CRE Chat has been going on for 5 years now, and we have a monthly chat on Twitter. It's like the third Thursday usually of the month at 7:30 Central.
Okay.
There's a hashtag CRE Chat, hashtag CRE Chat that you follow. We typically have a guest host. We pick a topic, have a guest host. It just happens to be Ken Ashley on the next one, August the 18th.
He's so shy. How you getting him to talk?
I know. Oh yeah, I know. So it's going to be great. We are going to talk about CREI on the next one, but CRE Chat is basically a time for thought leaders in our industry to get together and share what they are seeing in the market based around a topic that we pick. So typically we'll do a topic around end of the year, like what we think is going to, like at the end of this year, we'll probably say, hey, what do you see is going to happen in 2023? Are we going to have a recession? Are we not? The thing is you're getting comments back from these people who are boots on the ground, seeing things happen real time. It is the most invaluable information you will get. These people are saying, yesterday I toured and this is what I saw. And typically what we've seen, Joe, is the minute we have a chat, we see the topic come out about a month later or 2 months later in the media. We're that much ahead of what the media is putting out or a report by a big firm is putting out. And so a lot of them actually get their information from our chats. They say, oh, well, these people are saying this on CRE Chat. Let me call them and ask them about that. That happened earlier this year when we did a supply chain chat. And sure enough, somebody from the media reached out and said, "Hey, can you elaborate a little bit more on what you're seeing from a supply chain perspective in real estate?" And so the chat really is just let's pick a topic. Sometimes it's how to better your business, how to build your business. Sometimes it's about the markets and what's going on. It's a good kind of mixture of topics. We have the chat, and then we follow up with a podcast to really kind of recap what everybody said. So we're not making the content. We're just creating the platform for people to come and share anecdotally what they're seeing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Can you send me the link to your podcast? I'm going to post it at the bottom of the video.
Yeah, we'll send it.
So now I know you got to go because you're all excited to go drive in this IndyCar thing. You're not driving, are you? Just going to go attend maybe?
I'm not even attending, Joe. I'm that sad. So I know if I had friends in town, I would, but I think I'm going to sit here and work for the next 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
Well, how about you? What are you doing today?
I'm all over the place. So do a little tennis and relax a little bit. It's been a long.
Good.
We actually have some
week.
humidity here in Southern California. We're not sure how to deal with it. It's very stressful.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's my understanding there's a storm down south. So I guess we're getting some humidity from that. So hope maybe it'll make me look younger. I don't know. I can only hope. But Melissa, thank you very much for doing this today. I just thought your story was so spot on for what a lot of people need to hear, especially women, that just go get it. Go do it. You said something about a mind. Oh, you know what? I got it right here. Hold on. I might need my glasses. I am going to need my glasses. You said something about women feel they need to know exactly how to do something before they actually do it. But what we need to really be saying is, I have the skill set to master this. Yes. And it was spot on. So I read that. I'm like, oh, I got to get her on. I just think it's so perfect because we have a good number of women in our company, and they are true leaders. And and I wished I could have hired more earlier on because it really set the pace for our company, and is regarding work ethic, about how to put your head down and just get through it, look for a way around it, through it or over it. And so it was good. So I think what you were saying today is very important. So Melissa, thank you very much for coming on today.
Well, Joe, thank you for your support of women and getting the word out there about just the need for more women in our business. We need more vocal support from folks like you to say, look, there are so many women that are capable of doing this, so much talent out there. So thank you so much for having me on today.
You bet. You bet. For those of you watching, make sure you watch this video all the way through. I think it's very important. Come back and see it. Make sure you check out Melissa's CRE chat, and we will put her contact info down below. And if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe.